Hi guys, welcome to Behind the Bar with me, Cara Devine, and today we have the wonderful Miranda Lidgerwood. She is from Sullivans Cove distillery in Tasmania, which makes very delicious whiskey. So I've been picking her brains a little bit. We have just done a video on single cask whiskey, which you can watch here if you haven't seen it yet. And today we are going to be looking at what you're calling Sullivans Cove Best Kept Secret. So what's that all about?
That's right. So thank you again for having me back, Cara. Always a pleasure to come and talk about whiskey with you. The style that I wanted to talk about today, of course, we're still talking single cask, but within that range, we're talking about second fill cask maturation. So it's a relatively new style of whiskey maturation to Australia. They've been doing it for years and years over in Scotland, but our industry, our modern industry being relatively young, we're in the fortunate position to be one of Australia's oldest distilleries, second oldest. It's actually our 30th birthday
birthday.
year. Yeah, thank you. If you're watching this in 2024, it's our 30th birthday this year. So we are in the fortunate and unique position of possessing fully matured second fill casks, large format as they do over in Scotland. So what that does is really highlight our spirit character, and it also allows for usually a longer and gentler maturation, and being a distillery that is focused on, as I said before, large format, long-term maturation, it's just perfect for us. So yeah.
What does that actually, I guess, mean? So it's had something other than whiskey, and then you're using it again?
That's right. So some of the casks that we have in our bond store were virgin oak when we received them. So that means that there was nothing in there before, and those casks have only ever matured Sullivans Cove whiskey. That is the case for TD64 here, this 300 litre American oak old and rare. If it has had something in it before, then technically the refill or second fill will be the third thing that's been in that barrel. So say it matured bourbon over in the States and then it came over to Australia, we matured a whiskey in it, that got decanted, and then we've matured another whiskey in it. That's a second fill, and that's where I think it can get a little bit confusing.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You're like, forget the past, it's all about the whiskey.
Exactly.
Now, if we have, people that are kind of really quite into their whiskey and have drunk quite widely, why is this something that would be exciting for them to try?
That's a great question, and I really love talking about this because we love the flavour of the oak and we love what that brings to the table, but the Australian industry, we've tended to kind of make our mould of making whiskey in these smaller format barrels with a lot of cask influence, and a lot of pre-fill as well. So maturing whiskey this way, it really does help us celebrate our distillery's character and our spirit, the spirit that we make. We've got a beautiful still. Her name's Myrtle. She's modelled off the Charente Alambics of Charente, France. So she's actually a brandy still, and she creates this incredibly hyper fruity, really robust, really textural spirit. And the second fill is the cask style that allows us to kind of put that at the forefront and show it off. So you're getting a window into the heart and soul of Sullivans Cove, as I like to say. And it's not something that you can taste anywhere else, really, our spirit.
So are we debunking a myth here that the darker the whiskey is always better?
Absolutely we are. Absolutely we are.
Because sometimes you just want a little bit less reaction between the spirit and the cask. It's still doing its thing, the cask is still doing its thing to kind of form those beautiful flavors, but you get a bit more of a balance between that and the spirit. So, of your kind of second fill range there, what do we actually have in front of us?
So we've opened up TD64, which I mentioned really briefly before. This is our, I think, 17-year-old American oak second fill. So this was a 300 litre barrel that we received at the distillery way back in the 90s. It has matured a whiskey to full maturation, which we've decanted, released, and this is the second whiskey that this cask has matured. So cheers.
Thank you. Pretty excited to get to put my nose in this one.
Oh, enjoy.
Now, for anyone, maybe in the States that isn't as familiar with Australian whiskey, that is really quite old for an Australian whiskey, right? So do you find these second fill barrels sort of allow you to push the age range a little bit?
They really do. You still get all the beautiful things from the oak, but in a little bit more of a pulled back and restrained way. And our spirit in a second fill barrel, it really is allowed to flourish without any kind of constraints of, any risk of it becoming over oaked and out of balance, which is something that we really do take care not to do. We want to be giving you the best of our spirit, the best of the oak, the best overall whiskey in general. So second fill kind of, it's pulling back the curtain of first fill oak a little bit and just letting our spirit flourish.
Yeah.
So you will get lots of key Sullivans Cove spirit characteristics like our tropical fruits, kiwi, pineapple, and you will still get the beautiful notes of the American oak too, the coconut, the vanilla, and those things, they just go so beautifully together.
Yeah, I'm getting like buttered toast and peaches.
Yes.
It's very alluring.
Stone fruits is a big one
Yeah.
for us, and the texture is another thing that I love about our old and rare range. There's kind of a depth and complexity to these whiskies that can only come from time. And you know, our spirit is very thoughtfully distilled, so there are flavour and aroma compounds in there that are meant to go the mile and turn into things like texture. So realising that and seeing that happen is quite a special thing.
Man, the length on that is incredible. It's
Yeah.
like still going.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
And then the other one that we were looking at today.
So we've got a French oak second fill that we've opened up from our core range. So this one here, we've got a little whiskey passport on the side of all of our boxes, which gives you all the information. TD383, so this is bottled 231 of 364 that this cask yielded, and it's 49%. Doing some quick maths, about 11 years old. So, as I mentioned in our first video explaining what single cask whiskey was, French oak has a really interesting and unique tannin structure to it and really beautiful big bold spices. So experiencing all of that kind of stripped back, it does allow the spirit to sing a little bit more too, because it can be, as you see in wine, quite at center stage. You know?
Get a bit too grippy and forceful and drying, I suppose.
Oh, the nuttiness from the tawny though, you still get that? You still get it from the pre-fill?
Definitely, and just like really nice, big, rich, like dried fruit, juicy on the palate. Those are some very special drops, you know, that I always like to be selfless for you guys and have to taste through to help you experience. But, you know, this one's been a particularly wonderful and unique experience. So thank you so much for coming in.
Pleasure.
Definitely let us know in the comments below if there's any more whiskey content that you'd like to see, if you've had the chance to try a second fill cask or a single cask, anything, any little fun tidbits that you want to share or questions that you want to ask Miranda, I can pass that on as well. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And now you do your sign off.
And now you know.